Hello and welcome to taking control of the dry eye market with the Keratograph 5M technology. My name is Erich Mack. I'm a representative for OCULUS in the Southwest United States. First, I want to start off with a little background on OCULUS in case some of us aren't familiar with OCULUS. We are a German company and a German company that's been delivering technology-based eye care solutions for over 120 years. We pride ourselves on innovation that creates better medicine. We empower doctors to have absolute insight, control, and precision in what they do, and we do that by creating great diagnostic devices. Fast forward to today, you see on the left-hand side of your screen, that's our new facility. That's where literally everything from the lenses, the optics, the software, the housings, etc., everything is made right under that building. The benefit to that is that we don't ever discontinue support of our instruments. As long as they're in service, we continue to support them. And we can do that because we control every aspect of the instrument production. On the right-hand side of the screen, what you're seeing there is our Corvus, our non-contact tonometer that's on board the International Space Station. So if you can believe that, we have an instrument up in space right now. They actually use that to study the effects of zero gravity in space. But enough about OCULUS. Let's talk about the dry eye syndrome market, the dry eye space. In the United States alone, there are at least 24 million dry eye sufferers. And you have to pardon the slide. It was originally made for New Mexico. And that's where you see in New Mexico, there's at least 200,000. But in the whole United States, 24 million plus dry eye sufferers. So what's the value of the dry eye syndrome market? Well, it's $5.4 billion globally, $2.5 billion in the US alone. It's a lot of money up for grabs. And we want to get that money and not leave it all to big pharma. And that's where it's going right now. We want to take a look at this graph because this graph answers a question that I'm always asked by every single doctor, at least at some point during the conversation about dry eye. And that is, are my patients able and willing to spend any out-of-pocket money for a specialty dry eye exam? Well, if we look at this chart, we have mild, moderate, and severe dry eye patients, and then we have patients that are seeking medical care but don't have prescription therapies, and then patients seeking medical care that are having prescription therapies. So let's look on the left. This is just the mild dry eye candidate, dry eye patient. They're seeking medical care, but they're not doing prescription therapy. This chart tells us that that patient, year after year, on average, spends out of their own pocket money that they're feeling directly leave their pocket is $452. And they're chasing a therapy or chasing an eye drop that's just not helping them. That's $452. Repeat office visits and over-the-counter drops. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, we have severe dry eye patients that have plugs and restasis. They're spending $2,700 every year on these dry eye treatments, every year. So if you ask me, are my patients willing to spend $100, $200 on a specialty dry eye exam? Well, you bet they are. They're already spending more than twice that. Okay, so if they feel they're going to be diagnosed and treated, $200, that's not a big deal. That money is already spent anyways. We have to have a new way of thinking about dry eye, and that's that there's no silver bullet cure for dry eye syndrome. We need multiple treatments, and we need the diagnostics to support that. We know dry eye disease is multifactorial. There's various environmental influences, such as humidity, contact lens overwear, blink rate, etc. The point is, we can't control atmospheric humidity. There's no silver bullet cure for that. We need better diagnostics, better treatments. MGD and dry eye disease, it's a chronic disease. It needs continual monitoring and treatment, just like a dental model with gum disease or tooth decay. You need to treat the problem immediately and continue with follow-up treatments. And of course, we know that MGD and dry eye disease is correlated with age. It becomes more and more prevalent at over 40. We cannot cure aging. Okay, we need better diagnostics, better treatments. To be successful in a modern dry eye clinic, we need to ditch the old mentality and embrace the new mentality. Ditch the old, ditch the current mentality, and that is commence the treatment on the onset of symptoms. Lead with the most conservative treatment and then get more aggressive as the treatments progress. Now, this isn't helping anybody. The patient's not getting better. Obviously, they're confused. The symptoms are still there. The disease is progressing. They have a feeling of no hope. We want to take the new dry eye culture, the new mentality, which is baseline imaging and documentation of meibomian glands and ocular surface characteristics before the onset of symptoms. And then we assess the structure and function of the glands, the tear volume, and make sure we arrest any atrophy before symptomatic using the most effective treatments available. I would take this a step farther and say that we also have to have an educational connection with the patient to ensure them that yes, indeed, the treatment is working, the disease is being arrested, although you still may have some symptoms. To get into categorization of dry eye disease means we have to have essential tests. We need to be able to diagnose or rule out one of the four categories of dry eye disease. That is meibomian gland dysfunction, aqueous deficiency, allergy, and autoimmune. Now, the Keratograph technology platform is not in the allergy and autoimmune space, and that is where you'd want diagnostics like the Sjogren's blood test or the immunoglobulin IgE test. We focus in on MGD and aqueous deficiency. The good news is 86% of your patients will fall into the MGD category, and that is the type that can be treated in office and with home treatments. So the essential tests to diagnose into MGD are meibography for structure, meibomian gland function via lipid layer thickness quality and viscosity, and then a non-invasive, no-drop tear breakup time and map. The essential test for aqueous deficiency, a tear meniscus height measurement. And then we go to the next level. We know which category, but now we need to know chronic or acute. The Keratograph 5M technology has two tests for that, a hyperemia redness grading and a corneal staining pattern grading. Now, before we look at the essential tests in a little more detail, I want to mention that we've created this Keratograph 5M technology. We've innovated it to actually save you time. Okay, when we think about a dry eye practice and a dry eye exam, you might have 10, 15 minutes of chair time with this patient. If you're spending 5 or 10 of those minutes or half of the time under a slit lamp, that does not give you enough time to discuss the disease, to show the results, and discuss treatments. We want to give you that time back. The Keratograph 5M is a technician-operated and driven testing platform. All of these tests that you're about to see are obtained by the technician. That gives you 5, 10 more minutes of chair time to spend with the patient going over these results and discussing disease and treatments. That is a big separation between a specialty dry eye exam and a non-specialty dry eye exam. So looking at these essential tests, what we're looking at here is our infrared high-resolution meibography imaging. Here you can clearly observe and document meibomian gland structure, as well as morphological changes such as atrophy, dropout, shortening, duct dilation. We do the upper and the lower lid. It's a critical part of a dry eye exam. Besides the meibomian structure, we want to look at the meibomian gland function. We have two tests that allow you to observe and document the function of the glands. We have a lipid layer thickness quality scan, and we also have a lipid layer viscosity quality scan. So now we can not only have structure, but function. The final essential test for meibomian gland dysfunction categorization is a precise tear breakup time. It's a non-invasive, no-drop tear breakup time and mapping. This is a 24-second or less scan per eye. The software automatically looks for breaks in the tear film, identifies where the break is and how long that took. We have precision down to the 100th of a second. So again, talk about saving time in the exam chair. We don't have to do the stain and then do the 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. We have a documented tear breakup time without any drops. This is a virgin tear, and we have mapping of that breakup map. We also have the essential test for diagnosing aqueous deficiency. the other category. And this is a very fast, high-resolution image that allows you to document and measure the tear meniscus height. We can measure down to the 100th of a millimeter all along that lower meniscus. The software will give you the average value. So now we have the categories, and then we have to look at chronic or acute. There are the essential tests with the Keratograph platform that allow you to do this. The first one, and this is actually an interesting test because I mentioned that we're innovative. We like to pioneer technology to create better medicine. This is an example of that. This is our newest addition to the Keratograph 5M platform. It's the first and only of its type anywhere in the industry. This is a hyperemia scan. This scans the bulbar and limbal regions. The software identifies the thin vessels and then grades it against a normative database. Besides the hyperemia scan, we also have a secondary scan where you can have a fluorescein pattern stain, and it will grade that as well. So you can observe, document, and grade the patterns. Punctate keratitis, if you use this for something besides dry eye, you can also do the same grading on non-dry eye patterns. Now we get to the patient education. Now this is an overlooked part in the past, but we know how essential and important that is right now to a successful dry eye clinic. Patient education. The Keratograph 5M has the absolute best system for patient education in the industry. There is no question about that. And that's what we're looking at right here. This is the dry eye report, the summary of a dry eye exam. You'll notice here that you have different graphs on the bottom, and at the top you have an image of the right and left eye. First of all, the images, that's the Redness scan image. That sends a powerful message to people with dry eye because they can see how red their eyes are, and they want to feel better. But not only that, they want to look better. It sends a powerful message. But the graphs on the bottom, those are all the tests that you did, and you can customize your protocol here to what tests you want. You can do all of the Keratograph tests if you'd like, or a few. But you can also import other technologies into this report. Tear osmolarity, blink rate, Schirmer's test. There's a whole list of other metrics you can put into this report and make it even more comprehensive. Now, once you take the exams or the tests, the patient will fall on one of these scales from green is good, red is bad. So it's very easy to understand not only for you, but for the patient. This is a fingerprint of their dry eye disease, and they can see that, hey, I fall in the red on one or two of these categories, okay? So it's easy to understand. But we move to the second page, and this makes it even more powerful. First of all, towards the bottom, each metric will be defined in patient-friendly terms. So they'll see where they're red, and then they'll see, oh, what does that mean? And it's defined right there. But on the top of this page, you have your recommendations. So you have your treatments and your follow-up recommendations. All right, so the idea here is the patient takes this home. You print it or email it to them. They take it home, they stick it on the refrigerator, okay? This is this is a map to success, a map to a cure. Okay, this is a powerful, powerful message, something that's never been done before. They've been chasing a cure, they've been chasing treatments with drops and this and that, and repeat visits. But now we have a game plan, and that is powerful to a patient. So this is going to enforce the education of the disease. It's going to enforce the compliance of your treatment, and then bring them back for their follow-up visits. Now, I mentioned this is a technician-driven system. It's designed to not only give you the comprehensive diagnostics to match it with the proper treatments and also educate the patient, but also to save you time. So to give you a more effective examination with your patients. The system is very user-friendly. There's no learning curve. The software guides the operator to the right focal point, and either the software, depending on the scan, will automatically trigger the scan and obtain the results, or you have one click of the mouse to do that. Once we have the scan in the system, the Keratograph gives you a one-click export to a PDF to attach it to a chart, print it, or integrate right into your EHR. Future-proofed. And I mentioned matching it up with the proper treatments. That's another important aspect of a dry eye clinic. It adds revenue, right? What treatments are you going to do? Nutraceuticals, You're going to do an in-office premium treatment like LipiFlow or MeiboFlow, Meibo Express, or are you going to do an in-office treatment with a moist heat mask and then also send them home with that moist heat mask after they purchase it? Or do you have a super severe case of dry eye and you need to do a ProKera treatment? Well, all of those things are even more effective when you have proper pre and post treatment tools. The Keratograph has that built in. At the right hand of the screen, the top half, you see there's 4 images of an eye, infrared images. Those are 4 tear meniscus height images, all side by side. You can do your pre and post treatments. When you can see the improvement, you can show the patient the improvement, show them that dry eye report, their numbers are getting better. That's going to motivate them to continue the treatment, buying more nutraceuticals or whatever. Alternatively, if the numbers are getting worse, that's justification to go to a more aggressive treatment if there was hesitation in the beginning, like a LipiFlow, a premium treatment. The bottom right, we can do tear breakup mapping and timing all side by side up to 3 exams. So you can motivate the patient. Do an in-office treatment, immediately retest them for tear breakup. You'll see an immediate result. The patient will be excited and motivated. ProKera, I mentioned that for your most severe cases. You need to heal that ocular surface. Use a ProKera. The guidelines from ProKera state that you must use a fluorescein staining pattern monitoring to monitor how the healing process is going. And we know the Keratograph is an excellent fluorescein imaging system, documentation and observation of the fluorescein stain and to monitor the healing. So it works perfectly to segue that ProKera treatment into your clinic. And again, technician driven, saves you more chair time, even on the ProKera healing monitoring. Now there's additional benefits to the Keratograph. We have external photography. We can do that on any anterior photo if you want to do a lid image or Demodex. Some of those would be billable. But also if you're into the lissamine green staining for lid wiper epitheliopathy and line of marks imaging, use a Keratograph. Have the technician do the images. The software will allow you to do on-image measurement of the line, of the thickness of the line, so you can document, not only observe. Besides imaging in the dry eye space, the Keratograph 5M is a topographer. It has topography functions built into it. It's a 22,000 point high precision topographer that's easy to operate and has built-in keratoconus detection and Zernicke analysis. We have a RGP design simulation tool where you can load up to 7 or 8 fluorescein stains side by side for RGPs, sphere, toric, bitoric. You can manipulate the design parameters and see how that fluorescein pattern changes. That way you don't have to try on a lot of diagnostic lenses. That saves you chair time. The patient will be happy. They don't have to try on a lot of diagnostic lenses. That's uncomfortable. So you can get that first fit right more often using this design simulation tool. In addition to that, we integrate with third-party tools. Paragon CRT. If you order Ortho-Ks now or in the future, use this. It allows you to design and order Ortho-K lenses very, very easily and effectively. A couple clicks of the mouse. Your 2 and 4 quadrant lenses, the wave contact lens system, those can be sometimes tricky to design. The software integrates with Keratograph that makes that much easier, facilitates the ordering and the design process. Again, saving you time, being more effective at what you're doing. Briefly, you've seen the capabilities. It's clear that this is an essential tool to have in any dry eye clinic. There's no question about that. One question that may come up is it easy to implement into your practice? Well, every practice is a little different, but yes, it is easy. There's 5 basic steps. First, market that you're now a premier dry eye practitioner. You have the technology, okay? Free screenings on your current patient base, especially contact lens exams, allergy exams, LASIK co-managements. If you're not already using a dry eye questionnaire, start using it. It's one of the most effective ways to identify dry eye candidates within your patient base and new patients. Statistics say 40% of your patients right now aren't telling you about their symptoms for dry eye, and you're missing them. So use a questionnaire, use the free screenings. When I say free screenings, I mean a tear breakup time and maybe a redness scan. Just 2 fast tests to see if they fail it. Once you identify your dry eye patients, have that conversation about the premium dry eye exam. Maybe it's $100, $200, no big deal. We know they're already spending that kind of money on ineffective treatments. Have that exam, do the treatment, and then bring them back for follow-up care. And patient education is all about the treatment and follow-up care, right? So in summary, I just want to again mention that we drive innovation. We drive innovation to create better medicine and to empower you to have the absolute insight, control, and precision in what you're doing with a diagnostic device like the Keratograph 5M. It's going to allow you to discover and classify dry eye disease, find the best course of treatment and evaluations, educate your patients, and summarize everything on the dry eye report to enforce treatment compliance, follow-up visits, and patient education. Thank you very much.